Hello, Encounter. Good afternoon. Hope you had a good morning today. Coming at you a little bit normal than usual for our daily devotional. I apologize for that, but I want to, let the day pass without sharing something with you. And if you know what we're doing is like we kind of like take a look at Sunday sermon and kind of like dig a little bit more in detail. Sunday we took a look at this. Uh, Passage on Jeremiah chapter 29. It's this letter that, Jeremiah writes to the people that are in exile in Babylon, kind of telling them, hey, listen, you're in exile and you're going to be in exile for 70 years. But so you shouldn't be just like kind of like hoping to go back to Jerusalem right away because it's not going to happen. But you can build a life there, and you can have a future and a hope there. And we kind of like look at this idea, this famous passage where God is like build houses and settle down and do all these things. Have sons and daughters and increasing numbers and work for the good and the prosperity of the city. And this beautiful moving thing. And we kind of like been dissecting the idea and kind of how it applies for us in terms of the fact that we are almost like in this, it feels a little bit like exile, right? Like we just got through this crisis that it seems kind of like it's entering into a new stage, but it's not how things were before. We're now back to normal. And how do we build a life in those moments? And looked at different dynamics. Do you want to share kind of like something with you? And actually just from that passage I'm going to read again this section. This is Jeremiah chapter 29. Um, and probably the line that's very famous is verse 11, right? Well, I actually want to read you starting on verse 10. It says, this is what the Lord says. When 70 years are completed for Babylon, I will come to you and fulfill my good promise to bring you back to this place. For I know the plans I have for you, declares the Lord, plans to prosper you and not to harm you, plans to give you hope and a future. Then you will call on me and come and pray, and I will listen to you. You will seek me and find me when you seek me with all your heart. I will be found by you, declares the Lord, and bring you back from captivity. I will gather you from all the nations and places where I have banished you, declares the Lord, and will bring you back to the place which I carry you into exile. It's kind of like a little bit of like what goes after in that passage, and it's kind of like what I want to share with you today. There's kind of like ideas that two things can be true at the same time. So we've talked about how, well, what if this is just a new reality for the foreseeable future, right? And this is just how we have to adapt and build a new life. And in the post of whatever thing we've gone through, and that's not only COVID, right? It can be thinking about our a failed relationship. It can be thinking about a failed business venture. It can be about like a shift in life situation, moving to a new place, all sorts of things. Um, and that's important. And that's not like the heart of the sermon. How do we build a life now in this moment? But there's something that I also don't want us to miss in this, and it's there's still also this larger sense that God has a future plan for His people, and that God has a future plan for us. Uh, I'll be honest. Sometimes I find myself looking at the unknown, not knowing what things are going to be, and I'm the guy preaching these sermons. I believe in this stuff, and yet even sometimes I'm praying and I'm like, God, it's hard for me to imagine what the future might be, right? And the question is, what do we do then? Like, what do we do when it's we cannot even like imagine what a future might be? And I think part of the idea is also in this passage, and is that um, we wait in hope by living. Okay? And I explain that to you. God says, okay, you're in exile. You're not going to be in exile forever, right? Like for the people of Israel, it's a very like determined time. It's 70 years, right? The, I don't know how long the current situation is going to be, right? Like people are saying 18 months, people are saying 2 years. And we talked about something. Well, what if nothing ever changes? Right? What if something different comes? I have no idea. My if you ask me, my sense is that at some point, you know, things will change. that at some point, we're gonna figure it out, and there'll be some sort of treatment, and things might never look back the way they were before, but it might be like a much more, adaptable situation for us. But even if that doesn't happen, the Christian vision is that God is taking history somewhere. The Christian vision is that God that God has begun to do something in the world through His Son Jesus Christ, and that thing is coming to pass. And at some point this sounds cliche, like, right? It sounds very escapist, because it sounds like I'm saying, listen, you might suffer and everything, but one day when you're gonna die and you're gonna go to heaven, or when the Jesus is going to come back and things are gonna be fine. And I don't want to sound escapist, but I do want to tell you, like, that is the ultimate hope in the scriptures. In the scriptures, the ultimate hope is not only that everything is gonna be fixed on earth. The ultimate hope of the people, like, read through the book of Hebrews, read through Hebrews chapter 11, which people call like the Hall of Faith, right? Like the Hall of Faith, because it's like all these people that died by the faith, and all of it, over and over and over, the theme in there is that they were looking for a better thing. And that a lot of times part of the problem that we have is that it's very easy for us to settle. C.S. Lewis talks about this. C.S. Lewis talks like, we're like kids that want to like play in like a puddle of mud when our parents are offering like a trip to the beach, and we can't see that. And what I want to say by that is, part of it means to wait in hope is two things, right? On one side is dynamic, that the guys in the publisher, your exile is going to end like physically on earth. It's not always going to be like this. And it might not be like this it might be like 18 months, 2 years, in the case of Israel, 70 years, but things are going to change. And I think that's a mentality that we should have. And a lot of times we cannot, we cannot imagine what our lives are going to be like when things change. Well, what we do is that we just do exactly what the people of Israel do in this passage. What do they do in this passage? They keep on living. Keeping on living for them is an act of hope. It's the act of hope that God gives them to do. He says, okay, listen, you're going to be there for 70 years, but I have a hope and a future for you. Now, this is what you do. He says, you build houses and you settle down and you plant gardens and you have sons and daughters, and your sons and daughters get married and you increase in numbers, and it's all this idea that the living of life in the midst of uncertainty is in itself an act of hope, that we haven't given up. And sometimes it's so hard because you don't know what's down the road. All you can do is take the next step. For some of us, the biggest act of hope we can have is just waking up, getting on our knees, thanking God for the day, and just taking the next step. And that might be just logging on to another Zoom call. And that might be just, like doing the work of raising our children. And that might be doing the work of loving our spouse, or loving our fiance, or loving our friends and the people around our life. Whatever that may be, that's all we can do. All we can do is take the next step. But we don't take the next step resigned that things are never going to change. We take the next step in the hopes that promise of God of a hope and a future is going to come to pass, is going to come to happen. And in our case, that might mean like that we believe that things are not always going to be the way they are. And if we don't see a future now, what we do, the last thing we were told to do, the last thing the people of Israel were told to do, is build houses, plant gardens, settle down, rebuild your life there with the hope, don't without abandoning the hope, like the people of Israel. That I wonder how often they would go back to that passage and say, "Listen, we're not going to be here forever. Something is going to change." And as Christians, we have that dynamic. So, like right now, we live and we, do the best that we can, and we try to be as engaged as we can in our work, and we try to be as engaged as we can, with our family and with our church family, with everybody, and believing that things, will not always be the way they are here. But we have this added layer that our ultimate hope is, listen, even if things change, that's not my ultimate hope. My ultimate hope is that one day all of this will be different. That one day there won't be any more the seas, that the seas would be like a thing of the past, that the seas would be like a, like this science fiction nightmare, because we live in a world where the seas doesn't exist. The racial inequality, the racism, the hate, that there will be a world where that could be inconceivable. That how we are, divided and at each other's throats politically, that there will be a day where Jesus will be king of all, and that would be like a thing of the past that would never happen again. And that's our ultimate hope, and the things that we work for and the things that we give our lives to and our energies to is precisely believing in that hope. So we have like these kind of like these layers of hope, that God can do something for us here in right now. We can build a life, but also that whatever our circumstances are right now, they're not always going to be the same, and things are going to change. And then this added layer that history is going somewhere. Do you know what that means? That means that we have more things to hope for than things to be afraid of. That there's all this hope to be had: hope for today, hope for tomorrow, and hope for the ultimate future. And sometimes we can imagine that, and that's fine. An invitation rises to take the next step, to wake up and continue building that house and continue planting that garden and continually fostering that family and continue seek the welfare of the city in hope, as an act of hope. So, for you, for me today, maybe the question is, what do we hope for, right? What do we hope for? Is our only hope that, that I'm going to be able to thrive in this time? Is our only hope that, hey, like, listen, like, one day the pandemic will be over, and with everything that was put on hold, that we'll be able to pick it back up and things will get better? Or do we also hope of the fact that God is taking history somewhere, that no matter what we suffer, no matter what we experience on earth, that there is this coming kingdom of God that's going to change everything forever? And the invitation of God is for us to live on all three layers of that hope every day. I want to invite you to pray with me. God, we come before you this afternoon, just in need of hope. Things are hard, things are difficult. Sometimes we can't see, past our noses about the future, and that can be intimidating and disorienting and scary. We'll look at a passage like this and we believe, God, in the hope that you provide, in the hope for today, in the hope for tomorrow, in the hope for forever. And my prayer this afternoon is that my brothers and sisters, God, that are watching this, that they will be able to live in those hopes. They will know that the same God that can do something now and can help us rebuild our lives now is the same God that will not just let things to go on the way they are forever on earth. And it's also the same God that promises this coming kingdom, this new future, where things will be different forever. We thank you for that. In the name of Jesus. Hey guys, thank you so much for tuning in, and we'll see you tomorrow. Grace and